Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, June 24th, 2016. I am Dave Biddle, and I am very happy to be joined by Bucknuts contributor Jonah Booker. J-Book, drink Bucknutters. How is the weather in the Phoenix, Arizona area these days? Drink again, fellas.
It is miserable, Dave. Literally, it was 120 degrees the other day. It's unbearable, but hey, this is our equivalent of winter for you guys. You just try to run from your car to the air conditioning as quickly as possible.
Yeah, if your air conditioning goes out, it's like a state of emergency, I would imagine. That would be just unbearable. All right, I guess we'll get to some real topics here. I posted a poll on the site earlier in the week, J-Book, drink Bucknutters, about how much longer Urban Meyer will stay at Ohio State. Now, I think he's going to stay about 4 to 6 more years. So that'd give him a total of 8 to 10 years at Ohio State. So I voted 5 more years, right in the middle of the 4 to 6 more years I think he's going to stay. And 5 more years was a popular choice in the poll. 56 people voted 5 more years, and that accounted for the second highest percentage of votes among the 8 choices, accounted for 18% of the vote. And by the way, the 8 choices in the poll were 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and then the final choice was 8 or more years. I think, Jonah, it is completely far-fetched that Meyer is going to stay another 8 or more years at Ohio State. I hope I'm wrong. However, 8 or more years was the runaway favorite in the poll. 146 people voted for 8 or more years, which accounted for nearly half of all the voters at 48.1%. This was a huge surprise to me, J-Book. Drink Bucknutters, and I'm curious to get your thoughts. Do you think this is just a case of wishful thinking on the part of Buckeye fans? Or do you agree with them that the most likely scenario is that Urban Meyer will stay for another 8 or more years at Ohio State?
I think this might be a case of wishful thinking on the Bucknutter side. 8+ years, I can't see that. Now, I will go in between you guys. I would say 6 years. I can definitely see 6 years, especially if he gets in another 2 championships within that. Right. You look at the class that Ohio State's bringing in, Dave. It's historic on paper. I think he wants to definitely see that class out. So you can go ahead and look at that 2017 class. That's 4 years of bringing in elite blue chip players. That 2018 class, it's going to be setting up for another special run there. So there, that gives you another 5, which you were talking about. And after that 6th year, I think it's up for grabs depending on where the state of the program is at.
Yeah, nice clean 10 years for Urban total. I think you're onto something there, and you know, I would be content with that. And I hope he becomes the first Ohio State coach to go out on his own terms. I mean, really since Paul Brown. I don't know if you consider World War II his own terms, but he was the last Ohio State coach to not get fired, wasn't forced to resign or anything like that. So hopefully Urban will go out on his own terms, and hopefully he'll stay at least 6 more years at Ohio State. I just found the whole 8 or more years thing to be a little far-fetched, but we'll see. Hopefully those people are right. And by the way, it's been taking me like a minute or two to get to my question, which is another part of the Bucknuts drinking game. So retroactively, for my first question, drink Bucknutters. People are going to be drunk halfway through this show. Jonah, of the remaining 5-star recruits on Ohio State's board in the 2017 class, who is the most important recruit that the Buckeyes need to land, in your opinion?
I would say Jeffrey Okudah, for the simple fact that the guy is a difference maker on the back end. They think he can be your next Von Bell or even better range, a little bit more physical than Bell, a bigger guy. But the thing about Okudah is he's so versatile because of the way he plays the game that he actually believes he can be a corner. A lot of people believe he's NFL bound if he goes straight into the college football program as a safety, but he also wants to line up at corner and play some slot. To me, he's a difference maker, a 5-star, pulling him out of Texas would be a huge coup for the Buckeyes. So that would be my most important. I know there's going to be people that say Grimes or Cam Akers, but the list can go on with the 5 stars. But Jeffrey Okudah is my top guy there.
And speaking of a 5-star recruit in the 2017 class, let's talk about Wyatt Davis, number 1 offensive guard in the country. And he's going to make his decision, we're told, later today. And good news for Ohio State broke last night when you had people left and right changing their crystal ball to Ohio State. I mean, it looks at this point, unless this is smoke screening on his part to throw everybody off, which I don't think it is, sounds like the Buckeyes are going to land the number 1 guard in the country. Now, Dwayne thinks that Wyatt Davis will move to right tackle, but your thoughts on this? Do you agree? Do you think Wyatt Davis will be a Buckeye when he announces later today?
All indications, Dave, that he's going to be a Buckeye. A lot of people throughout the week were speculating that this was the guy that Tate Martell was talking about in his cryptic tweet when he was saying that the team is getting better. And Haskell Garrett came out around that same time, said this class is going to be historic. You know, Wyatt Davis, 5-star guy. If you follow the crystal ball trends leading up to last night, everybody was pegging this kid to go to Alabama. He visited Ohio State, and then he visited Notre Dame. And then at that point, it became, is he going to be an Irish or is he going to be a Buckeye? Because a lot of people felt after that Midwest swing that it came down to those two. Now you're getting all indications is that he's going to be a Buckeye tonight, which is huge for Ohio State. It's very impressive. The guy's only visited one time, but some of his comments post that visit really stood out as he said that Urban Meyer was the one head coach that really showed him around the campus, gave him the attention. One of his biggest things with Ohio State was his conversation with Urban Meyer. I mean, how good is this class going to be, and how hot is Ohio State on the recruiting trail that where you get a 5-star number 1 guard in the country visiting from California on his first visit, and boom, all of a sudden he's a Buckeye? I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy. This 2017 class, and can you imagine if they had the normal 24, 25 slots to fill? I mean, this might be just, it's already off the charts. And I think on paper, it's going to be a better class than 2013 as far as the 2013 class coming in. But I always remind people, when you look at what that 2013 class accomplished, I mean, 4 of those guys left after 3 years and were picked within the top 20 picks of the NFL draft. They were the cornerstones of a national championship team. So I still think it's going to be tough to top the 2013 class when we look back on it, including their Ohio State careers and how high they're drafted in the NFL. But I tell you what, this 2017 class, it's just looking amazing. And maybe they will, even though they're going to be a smaller class, maybe they will end up being a better class than 2013. I said we're never going to see a class better than that 2013 class. Maybe 4 years later, Urban Meyer will prove me wrong. And then, looking ahead to the 2018 class, Ohio State doesn't have any 2018 commits yet. Not a big deal in my mind, but, are you surprised, Jonah, that they don't have any 2018 commits?
I'm not necessarily surprised. It's so early in the process. You got some guys that are right there on the cusp of potentially pulling the trigger, and Emory Jones, a couple local targets that Ohio State has offered. And if you flip to the 24/7 2018 page, you see a ton of crystal balls rolling in for some of the Ohio State targets. I'm not necessarily concerned in regards to them getting a commitment per se right now, because it's so early in the process. But I do think you're going to get some 4- and 5-star guys here pretty soon. Typically around the season starts, Friday Night Lights is usually a huge indicator on the way things are going to trend for the Buckeyes. But no concern, a little too early for me right now.
Hey, B. Diggity, take 3 drinks just for the heck of it. There you go, big guy. All right, last question here. The first 2018 commit for the Buckeyes could be 5-star corner Jaylen Gill from right here in the Columbus area, Westerville South. I'm actually hearing it'll be very surprising if Gill goes anywhere other than Ohio State. It's just a matter of when he'll commit. What are your thoughts on Jaylen Gill and him perhaps being the first commit in Ohio State's 2018 class?
I definitely can see that happening. If not him, it could be Emory Jones, who wants to be the leader of his class. So you can see either one of those 2 guys pull the trigger here within the next couple weeks. Jaylen Gill, my goodness, what a dynamic player. I also like him on the offensive side of the ball. And if you go back and watch his tape, you get giddy just seeing him with the football in his hands. So you almost think like, hey, maybe he should play a little offense. But I'll say likes him at DB. He's one of those kids, just get him in the fold and let him choose where he wants to go, because wherever he goes, he can be a difference maker. I mean, this guy is a freak athlete. He's going out to the Nike opening representing for the 2018 class. And keep in mind, they only pick maybe a handful of 2018 kids to go out to the Nike opening. And I'm excited to see what he does against that type of competition with the kids a little bit older than him. But get him in the fold and just let him choose where he wants to play. Get the football in his hand, because the guy is special.
Great insights as always out of Jonah Booker. Thank you, Jay Book. Drink, Bucknutters. Nothing like kicking off your weekend with some Friday morning drinking. If you followed the rules of the BM5 drinking game today, you should be plenty inebriated by now. I hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.